like to get started. The Mid-Atlantic Federation of Postal History Societies, we've taken a little gap. I'm sorry, life has gotten in the way a little bit, but last year we were started. We had a group of state postal history societies that got together, and one of the main reasons, I think, at least in my mind, is for educational purposes. You know, we had people that were doing presentations here and there, but this is something where we can reach out maybe a little bit more to some of the different states and, pool our resources and have some good presentations and share the educational part of postal history. Kind of wanted to separate it a little bit from stamps. There's a lot of stamp collecting things out there. This is, postal history, and that's a wide range in and of itself also, but we want to keep that part of it alive, and we'd like to have more involvement. I did speak with Bob Hill. He's not going to be able to be here tonight from Virginia, but like I said, this recording, a lot of people are looking forward to the recording of it. So we'll have, I'm hoping, more involvement from Virginia. We have New Jersey, New York, Phil, and Pennsylvania are, very active. The big three, I guess, because we have a lot of people interested in our states, but we're still looking for Maryland. I lived in Maryland for 25 years, and I'd be more than happy to help somebody if they were interested in starting a postal history society in Maryland again. Delaware is a little tough, but we have some that are combined, like Virginia and West Virginia are currently combined, and if that's working, that's fine. But I think we have a pretty good amount of people that are involved. As far as the society goes, right now we're keeping it for other societies and associations, organizations, as opposed to individual membership. That being said, like any other group, we are a 501c3. We're always happy to accept donations. Our expenses are very low right now. Basically, it's just posting the website so that we can share our presentations there. So not a lot of expenses, but we'll keep working towards that. Anybody have anything else to add about the Mid-Atlantic Federation? Any questions about any of that stuff that I can answer? I don't want you to think we're dead. It's just I've got a lot on my plate. Like all you guys, I'm sure you've gone through portions of your time where you've volunteered for one too many things, except for Charlie. He can do unlimited. I don't understand how he does it, but everybody else, life gets in the way a little bit. So, but I love doing this. So, okay. Well, with that being said, I'm going to start a little bit talking about some research resources, things that I've come across. I hope everybody can see my screen okay there. I've got a couple covers to start with. Let's see if I can get this in here. Okay. You guys, nobody looks like a beginner around here for postal history. I actually built this for Sarasota 2022. As it turns out, this was supposed to be, I think, a 45-minute presentation I had to do in 7 minutes when I got there, because we were kind of out of time. So I had to talk really fast. But I wanted to try and use something like this. And any of you guys are more than welcome to use this presentation for sharing with anybody and I'll put it out, the recording and all. But just, some stamp people may not be familiar with all the things going on in postal history. And if there's anything that you see on there that I should add, please feel free. I am always appreciate any kind of input. I don't take any offense to it. I've been in this hobby only about 35 years or so I'm still one of the new guys, at least in Pennsylvania, I am for sure. So if there's things you think I can add on here, please let me know about it. But I tried to explain a few things. I'm not going to go through all that stuff because I think most of you guys are pretty experienced collectors, and can always take a look at that on the side. I also put a very small thing in here, and as you start researching these covers, I found it out. It's so much easier with stamps, right? It's like, oh, it's got 5 cents on it, so it's a 5-cent stamp. Okay, I know that. And whether there's a cancellation or it's mint or mint never hinged, you worry about the gum. But with postal history, we all know you got to worry about all these rates. There is no way that I have found, maybe you guys have something better, to display all the postal rates in one place at one time in the detail that you need to do this. So I made a little spreadsheet here, use that, but it's not comprehensive, that's for sure. I found all kind of different things that need to be part of this. If anybody has any resources for that, please let me know, and I would love to add it. to my list of resources when you're talking about rates. And, I started all this, actually, I found out about April 1816. I don't know if you guys collect anything in particular, but I found out really quickly. I do Eli Beatty covers from Hagerstown, Maryland, and all these covers are $10, $20, except for the ones from April 1816, right? They're $200, $300, right? So you have a couple of these different areas with the war rates and the restored rates and different areas. So if you know those, it's great, if you can catch those dates and maybe find something really good. So I took this, I compiled a little bit of a list, and I think there's a reason that everybody wants to have for doing some postal history research, and everybody can have their own reasons, whether it's exhibits, whether it's presentations, whether it's just you want to write up stuff and document it for yourself, for your heirs, or for other people. And so I thought, you kind of have to have a little bit of a purpose for it. So what I had all these covers in all the little plastic envelopes like everybody does. You get them from eBay and they get in a pile and you stack them up. And it's like, well, how do I make this, organized in some meaningful way? So I just took this. I'm not going to go through each one of these because this is kind of my list. Everybody should have a little bit of a list. What I decided on, Rick Libby, great friend of mine and a very good mentor for transatlantic covers. I saw that he was doing write-ups on card stock, put like a title at the top, put a little place for the cover, then use the back for some information and put that in a big plastic, binder size document protector. And that's what I'm doing now. So it's taking a lot of time, but I'm really learning a lot as I do it. So that's how I'm doing some of mine. Now, my sources, once I started it, I mostly collect Philadelphia stuff, also the Eli Beatty stuff. And I've come across, everybody sees Haley's comment and says, oh, that's really cool. I want that one, even though it has nothing to do with what you really collect. So I started looking for where can I find resources for these things. And I found a lot of really good ones, and some of these are just words, like directories. When you start looking, Googling for stuff, these are some things that I started Googling, and I found a lot of things out there that really helped me out a lot. I had no idea there were so many libraries, like finding this railway library. That's awesome, right? There's good resources. I have to add that, right? There's philatelic websites and there's historical sites. All these kind of things that can help you out. And there's a lot of state historical societies, there's state postal history societies, and then there's genealogical societies. I kind of volunteered for the Pennsylvania group. I said, hey, I'm going to send all these guys a letter because I want them to join us, right? And I found out there were like 355 of them just in Pennsylvania. So there's plenty of resources out there if anybody's interested in particular cities, counties, whatever it may be. Plenty of places to look, and I'm going to share some of those. Now, all of these things in here, these lines of information, they're all hyperlinks. So when I share this PowerPoint, all you guys have to do is click on these hyperlinks, and it's going to take you to a website that's going to explain more about, what each line really is. But I have some USPS stuff, and I have things from other sources too. So you have to go to these, and I divided each one of these slides up into different things. This one in particular is rates. It goes into way more detail than that little spreadsheet thing that I was showing you about. So if you need to know about that, there's some there. Routes, there's, as you can see from the very beginning, and I'm sure you guys are much more experienced in this hobby, one of the first names you need to know is Feldman, right? That guy knows some stuff, right? When you're trying to figure out how mail got from one place to another. So I actually went to the Collectors Club from Chicago. They sell those, and they also have digital versions of those. And I think that that's where these links go to, is the digital versions, if you don't want the actual books themselves. But another great one is Across the Oceans there, which is a relatively new book. And her last name is, I guess that's Laxo. That's the lady that was the editor for the American Philatelic Congress for their Congress book this last year. Really great book there. The Atlantic Mail Routes to and from the Americas. Some of these are just PDFs. Some of them are websites. Some of them are exhibits. You'll have all different kind of links here. If something interests you, you can see an exhibit and you might find that cancellation you're looking for, or that certain marking that you're looking for. So there's quite a few of these on here. Stephen Walski, another famous name that's done a lot of research. Obviously, I had a cover from I do Philadelphia, so Philadelphia to Paris. I have several of those. Obviously, that was a great resource for me, the 1840 to 1875. I'm not sure why they picked those times exactly, but as you can see on the right, the other Dick Winter book, that North Atlantic Mail Sailings, same time frame, 1840 to 75. Does anybody know why they picked that time? Is that like the rise of it and the fall of it? Because there was still shipped mail, I guess, after 1875, right? So I don't know if anybody has any insight on why they picked that, but we'll try and figure it out. History of the railway mail service. There you go, Frank. I do have one rail thing there anyway. And as you can see, there's plenty of them there. And the one on the bottom right is actually pretty good because it's actually Dick Winter talking about analyzing a transatlantic cover. So if that's the thing you're looking for, there's one there. Well, like I said, I was doing the Eli Beatty stuff, and I started thinking about there are a couple of guys that started throwing things at me. Cliff Alexander, Ron Zapola. I said, "Oh, this is going to be easy. There's 10,000 covers that went to this one guy in Hagerstown. Wow, that's pretty cool. I'm going to get as many as I can, and I'll do a presentation." Well, I did. But these guys have a lot more detailed questions than I did, right? Being not young and naive in this type of thing. Well, how did the mail get there? Did it go by rail, by stagecoach? Did they use the rivers, right? And they obviously knew some of the answers to some of these questions, but I had to research some of that. And that's where I found some of this information. There's great things on here that can really be very helpful. And then on the right, the airmail stuff. If you're into airmail, obviously it's a very complicated thing, and there's a lot. I just got a Graf Zeppelin postcard, and I was looking about that one, right? So and, they kept putting that it was from Lakehurst, New York. I don't know why when they wrote it up, but we all know that's New Jersey, right? I guess Bob knows that for sure. Anyway. Another thing to look for, and don't underestimate some of these, and I only have a few on here, but Postal History Sunday is by a fellow named Rob Fox, F-A-U-X, very knowledgeable postal historian, and he's very good with 24 centers, and he does a very great job of putting out a blog post every week, and he takes a cover and he analyzes it, and it's really very good. So that's the link to that. The Whining History. That's from Pennsylvania, and there's a ton of great history stuff there, and they do posts on Facebook, and also they have a regular blog. So whatever your area of interest is, when you're looking for, please put the word blog in there too, because you might be surprised there's somebody out there writing about that every week, or maybe more. Maps. I had no idea how good maps could be. Fern Mars showed me a map that he actually paid for. Well, I don't know how technical some of you guys are, but there's JPEGs, there's PNGs, there's all kinds of things. And then there's TIFF files, .tiff. The resolution is amazing. They're very large files, but it's incredible resolution. He showed me a couple that he had, and we found a couple really neat ones. We actually in the Pennsylvania Society found one of Chestnut Street from, I believe it was 1852, and it actually shows the shingles. People had their names out on the buildings, who was in the building. And we're going to kind of work on that together, a couple people, and put together an article or a presentation on that. Bloods was one of them. So, the locals were there, Dr. James. There's all kind of neat things there just in that real high resolution picture that we found. But they also have them for maps. And I found one of Pennsylvania, and I should have put it on here. I'm going to forget some things. But it's of the Pennsylvania Railroad, and it was all its routes in very high resolution map. And you can zoom in and see every little stop, every station on the Pennsylvania Railroad at a point in time. It even shows the stuff that's going outside of Pennsylvania into Maryland and all the other states. So it's really, really cool. I really like that one a lot. And I'll try and put that on there before I upload this. So, and David Rumsey, that's one of the top of line map collections. One of the best, people that have researched this stuff, I'm sure have seen that. And Raes, I guess, R-A-E-S, they do certainly Philadelphia. I don't know about others, but there's plenty out there to look for. Some of the forums, if you have questions about things, it's tough, just emailing somebody all the time. Hey, what about this? What about this? Sometimes the forums are pretty good. As you guys probably know, like I said, most of you are very experienced. Richard Fragola's board, that's, you can't even compare to like Facebook and the Facebook experts there. All the long ball hitters are over on this board. There is no doubt. Some top name, exhibitors and collectors that know so much about this. So I certainly recommend that. If you haven't been there, it's great to go to. And when I was researching my Eli Beatty covers there, he's got a really powerful search engine, has a bunch of covers uploaded. I just put in the terms, keywords that I wanted, and I found a bunch of Eli Beatty covers there too that I could look at and find out where they were coming from. But he's a great resource, and he's a great guy to talk to. I talked to him for an hour one time just about, this type of stuff. So he's a really great resource. One of the other things, of course, we're always looking for is markings, and there's so many places to get these things. And I think people are getting away from the physical books and getting more into digital ones. Personally, I like them because they don't take up space, the digital ones. Plus, to be honest, my eyes aren't so great. I have a big, huge monitor. I can make the text as big as I want. Some of the covers that I do, I scan stuff, and I can actually read the letters, that I can't do otherwise. But there are still some great books out there. If you can find them digitally, that's great. If you like the paper ones, that's great too. The American Airmail Society has been giving away copies of this. Their airmail catalog too. If you're a society, you talk with them, you might be able to get some free books. I think they had them at the APS and they wanted them out, so they are giving some of the older versions of those away. But each one of these you can click on and find digital versions. I, of course, use the Philadelphia postmarks by Tom Clark. It shows about the different volumes there. It goes into great detail. I also use the Maryland Postal History ones from Kendall and Powers. Those are great for me, but they're just examples for whatever state or whatever it is that you're interested in. And of course, the Postmark Collectors Club. I'm not a member, but they're out there too. Talk about markings. Clubs and federations, obviously, we're one. I started the website. We don't have a tremendous amount of content on there yet, but we'll put our presentations up as we go. And our federation, our society is basically modeled after the Northeastern Federation and Southeastern Federation. I just, found out about those, and I was like, well, why is nobody doing the Mid-Atlantic? So we kind of took over for that. But there's some other clubs and federations that are out there that are good also, and have a lot of postal history information on their sites. So you definitely want to check with those too. And don't underestimate Facebook. I kind of make fun of it, but there's actually some real experts on there. Charlie DeComo being one of them. If somebody has a question about, some, 51 to 57 3-center type stuff, he's on there, and he's just amazing. Plating them as he goes just on Facebook, that's something I can't ever do, but there are definitely some experts that are on there too. So don't underestimate it. And the links that I have on here are to actual Facebook groups. And you can always start your own Facebook group too, if you have a particular interest. It's kind of amazing. I've done a couple of these, and it's really interesting how quickly the word gets out and people want to talk about it. And you can get members come and join the Facebook group. If you're interested in that, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to show you how to set that up. But as you can see, there's a wide range of things there, and people ask questions every day. They upload their covers and get questions answered. Especially with the transatlantic stuff right now, I'm getting a lot of people in Europe that are helping me out. I would never have that resource, and it's all from Facebook. So it's been very, very helpful for me. The genealogical societies, there's so many out there too that it's interesting to me. I haven't been able to get very many people from the genealogy side to come over to the postal history side, and kind of do both. I say we're kind of doing the same thing. It's just we use little bits of paper. And I think you'd be interested in what we're doing, but I haven't really been able to get too many people to join. But one of the really good websites there is Genealogy Trails. It's especially good for the Washington, D.C. area. But if you check that one out, I think you'll think that it's worth going to see. Some of them are pay sites. And when you do searches for genealogy, there's going to be like pages of sites that you have to pay for something. I'm always looking for the stuff that has information, not the paid sites. But, and this is absolutely one of the best resources that I can really recommend to you, because especially if you like the older stuff, like guys were talking about before, some people like that, some like the newer stuff, but there are books on there. It's tremendous the amount of information you can get for free on there. Sometimes they'll show you a preview of a book, but sometimes you can download the book right from Google Books and it's all free. And you'd be amazed at how much stuff is there. And I'll show you a lot of that when we look at my Bubble Up site at the end. But that's where I've gotten a tremendous amount from. And this biographical directory of U.S. Congress, I think that's where I got it, was Google Books. But it's literally got like every senator, every congressman, everybody, information about each one of them, paragraphs written about them. So if you're looking these guys up, there's great places to go and do that if they were politicians anywhere. So these are some general search links too. Of course, we all know probably about the Library of Congress. Sometimes it's a little frustrating to go to some of these sites because you need to have a password or a .edu email or different things. But there are still a lot of things that are online and are free. Library of Congress has some things I have difficulty getting to, and other things are just amazing. You can get there and they have PDFs uploaded and you can scroll through them and you can download them and everything. So there's plenty of neat stuff on the national level too there on those general links. Libraries. I just did a search for philatelic libraries, and I probably should have used just that word philatelic, right? Because as I'm finding out, there's other libraries that are out there that would help us for our searches. So please, anybody that has any information, let me know about other ones to add to this. But there's some pretty good ones on here, starting with the APRL, of course. Great place there. The newspapers, I do have a subscription to newspapers.com. If anybody's interested in it or has any questions about it, let me know. But it's pretty cool. You can get a lot of information there. But I'd like to show you, hopefully, I want to see if this page, if I can put this, can you see a different page on there? Or are you still seeing what was there?
And we see the window into the early republic, Steve.
Okay, great. All right. So this is a guy that's a professor at a university, and I forget which one it is, but he has these sites on here, these 19th century newspaper references, and some of them are very good, but there's one that's absolutely awesome, at least for me. This Niles Weekly Register. This one is so cool. It's like, I don't know if you've heard of Frank Leslie's illustrated magazines. They had weekly magazines. Well, this was a weekly magazine that had information about everything that was going on in the country. And I really believe that that's wrong. I think it's 1811 to 1849, not 39. But that's a really good one to check. There's a ton of stuff there, but don't overlook this one, earlyhistory.net. It's well worth looking at. Ton of great resources on there. Florida Historical Quarterly, if you're interested in Florida at all, they put everything except for the last couple of years up, and they have tremendous articles for over 100 years. So it's a really great site to go there too, and most of that's free. Philatelic literature sites, of course, the ones I put in red, I just wanted to point out a little bit that are obviously better. Of course, because of Charlie, the USPCS, Electronic Library, and the Chronicle, and all the things he does with them, make that an invaluable resource. When you can check the Chronicle, it's incredible how much you can get there. But there are a lot of others that are really good there. If you like the hardbound books and you still want to buy them, I'm just throwing a plug out there. I have no relation to Phil Bansner, but he's been absolutely awesome for me. He has a ton of stuff. And also Leonard Hartman books, great place to get philatelic resources. You've probably heard of all those. La Posta is absolutely awesome. They have archives online too. And any state postal history books, Kay and Smith books, you guys that have done this before, you know about them. New York, Pennsylvania, a lot of different ones. but plenty of places to look for philatelic literature to get this information. Any other links, please, I would appreciate them. The organizations, I'm sure you guys know about a lot of these, but some are hidden gems. And I hate to keep coming back to Charlie, but the Philatelic Society in Lancaster County has an awesome website, awesome membership. Every 2 weeks, they have like 50 members on their calls. Very active society. If I recommended one society to belong to, that's the one. And it's not, just Pennsylvania centric. They do everything, and they have people with so much knowledge about so many things every 2 weeks. It's like a really great free experience that you can really should look into. But most of the others we know about, carriers and locals, if you're into those at all, obviously it's a little bit specialized, but they have a ton of information online also where you can search their back issues. Always very good. So there's some great ones there. And some philatelic websites, the auction sites I have found have been really, really good. Of course, Siegel has their power search. If you're looking for a certain item, you go in there and do a power search, you see what they have, right? It's awesome. The Philatelic Foundation, same type of thing. If you're looking for some kind of marking or whatever it is, it's been there before. I'm sure it's gone through the PF, gotten a cert somewhere. So there's plenty of stuff on there for free. Jim Forte, Postal History is really good. And I'm going to come back to him for just a second because he's very helpful for searching for stuff. And I'll show you how. Kelleher also puts out a publication too that's got a lot of useful information on it you can get for free. Okay, here's some of the museums and historical societies. There's plenty of these out there. The American Philosophical Society is really awesome in Philadelphia if you guys are ever in that area. But of course, we know there's like the Spelman and National Postal Museum. Those are all very famous. Everybody knows about, but great places. I'm going to come up to that area this summer, I'm hoping, and I'm going to hit a lot of these myself. State Postal History Societies, I put links to some of the ones that I was able to find. These are some of our members, but some that aren't, and some are very strong postal history societies. They can help too. All right. There's a lot of stuff out there about the post office too, and a lot of this I found on Google Books, but you can just do searches, and the USPS actually has some stuff on their site, the Postmaster Finder, and you see some of the rates, and they have some stories of different things. I also have on my Bubble Up site, I have an Excel spreadsheet of all the post offices ever in the US. I don't know up until what date, but there is 165,000, I think, of those. And they're broken down by state too. I broke it down in the spreadsheet. And then for Florida and Pennsylvania, I actually broke it down by county. So there's, that's all up there, and you guys will have access to it here on my Bubble Up site. And one of the last places I'd like to talk about are these kind of general resources. For those of you, I hope everybody has heard about Retro Reveal. If you haven't, it's a very, very useful tool. If you have cancellations or some type of markings that overlap something or you can't make out what they are, it's a free, kind of easy to use tool that can really, really be valuable to you. So I definitely recommend checking out Retro Reveal. I can't explain how it works. It's way over my head, but it's pretty cool because you can pick things out on these cancellations that you can't do just by looking at them. And there's some of the other electronic libraries here, of course, the Lancaster County and Empire State. But another one I'd really like to talk to everybody about too, and I'm kind of a proponent of a legacy type program. All you guys have awesome collections, and I just don't, I heard a term last year, and it was don't take it with you. And I really started thinking about that. It's like, I need to archive some stuff. I need to do that, right? So I started with this Omeka.net. Bill Schultz had a collection of, he was getting people to send him copies of the 6 1/4 rate. And he started that site. It's very inexpensive. There's even a free version of it that you can upload scans of your stuff and have it in one place. They also have that on the Frajola site, like I was talking about earlier, but this omeka.net, you own everything. It's all yours. You do it the way you want. And it's made for museums and libraries. So you put whatever keywords you want to put in there so people can actually search for things based on the how you put it in. So it's kind of important to do it the right way, but it's very inexpensive. It's not really difficult to use, and I highly recommend that to archive whatever you have. If you have a scanner, you can use this very easily. So it's worth a look. Stamps of the World is a pretty awesome website too. They do have postal history there. There are people that it's a user-generated contents wiki where people can upload anything they want to, and they have state and city pages, and there's a ton of information there. So that's worth checking. The Revolutionary City was sponsored by the American Philosophical Society. Please go there, take a look. It's got some really cool old stuff there. If you're interested in colonial stuff, very, very interesting there. And so, and I think that's main thing. So what I'd like to do is go back to the Bubble Up site and just give you guys, oh, cannot open. Okay, well, I have it over here anyway. I'll just, that's not the one we want. I apologize.
Steve, while you're looking, just want to thank you. I know, excellent presentation. Thank you for sharing it. I know you'll get this out and make it available to everybody. I know you've done a lot of work to get this, and you know that I'm connected to your Bubble Up when we first started talking about this, so I could absolutely recommend it. And what you've done, I think, putting this all together has been really fantastic. So I appreciate it.
I hope that people use it. Thank you, Charlie. I really appreciate that. So what I've done is I have a folder named Reference Materials. And there are a couple people that I've made admins in here because they know how to use this stuff, and they have they help me to organize it. But I have different folders within here. Let's just go to Pennsylvania because that's one of the ones I have populated pretty well. So you would get access to the main reference materials folder, but then you can go down into the subfolders and find some really cool stuff. And I have it broken down in here by Pennsylvania counties where people can put, some county. If you're from Juniata County and that's what you collect, there's a folder in there for Juniata County. That's cool. Philadelphia, just because it's a big place and there's a lot of stuff out there. But a lot of these things I have, these are books that I have, and I've looked to try and find digital copies of them. But like on Google Books, like this, I'm just going to pick one, History of Wayne, Pike, and Monroe Counties. Some of these books have several volumes of up to like almost 1,000 pages. There's a bunch of 500-page things there. So if you're looking for something in a particular county somewhere, you can get all this stuff. And what I have done to make it so it doesn't take a lot of space on here is you can add, it's kind of cool in the bottom right here. These are all the different ways to add things in there, right? You can do it with a link. So I just get the link from Google Books instead of having to download it and use space on my computer and use space here. All I have to do is put the link there. When you click on this, the file that you see over there, it'll take you right to it, and you can download it from there. You can put images, videos, notes, files. It's just amazing what you can do. And it's very intuitive to be able to add stuff on here. And up here at the beginning, when you get there, if you want to search the whole site, up at the right, it says search my stuff. I'm just going to pick a word, Philadelphia, just to put it in there. It's going to show all the different things that I have, like folders and things that for Philadelphia. So it's important when you do upload something to use words that are going to mean something to people, right? If you want central pick, like Wiley Flat, right? A famous collection of Pennsylvania postal history. If you put in the word Wiley or Flat, you are going to find this. You're going to go right to it. You don't have to go searching through everything. You just use that search bar up there. You're going to get right to it. You click on it. And, well, I'll show you. All I'm doing here is just double clicking on this. You'll see it'll open up a new window in your browser. It downloads the PDF, and you have it right here. So, and just so you know, I talked to Richard Fitzgerald about using stuff from this site, and he said, feel free to use anything. So I'm not like, I'm what they call white hat. I'm not like a black hat hacker, like a bad guy. I'm a good guy, right? And I ask people, and I try and attribute stuff to people too. So, we don't want to get a bad thing here. But this is pretty cool when you're looking through this stuff. If you're looking for, certain cancellations or whatever it may be, you can go in and find these very quickly and easily. A lot of the big auctions I put up there, that people have had. Obviously, you can still search them at Siegel and all these other places. I'm just trying to make it easy to have some here too, wherever the auction may have been. But it's very simple, and you can invite people here. It's easy for me. I can do it with a link. I can send you a link. Like if you email me, I'll send you a link, or you can send me your email. And if I put your email in there, it'll send you an email. So either way, it's quite easy to join. I have about 25 people that are doing it now and sharing it with me. And some people are on there every day. So it's kind of neat. And one other thing I have to offer for societies, I talked with Bob Hill, and he was interested in a website, right? But I don't know necessarily that what the Virginia Society needs necessarily right now is a website. They need a place to collaborate and share things and store things. So I made actually a place for them here. I'm sorry, it's actually in the reference materials. But I made one up for the Virginia Postal inside Virginia. And I can do this for any, small organizations. Some of the bigger ones, obviously, you guys aren't going to need this. But if I go into the Virginia folder, I have one here for Virginia Postal History Society. They can store, I set up things here for the president, vice president, the different people. And once they join, they can share documents there. They can, whatever they need to do. And they also have their journal. I think that's what it is, their way markings. And they can, Gene Lightfoot comes on and he can put them up there now. So, and then they, in turn, I made them admins. They can invite people in their society to come there and read it online. So if you know of any small group or whatever that would be useful for, I'd be happy to set it up. I mean, like I said, I'm only using 10% of this, and I have plenty of room to do that if there's any small groups. One other thing I was looking at trying to do with this was to possibly set up a study group. Let's just pick one thing because it's one of the things I happen to be working on. If we said transatlantic mail, well, we could have a study group and we could share information and show each other our covers. And you can also comment on these things too. It's just on the right here with all these different things you can do. And if there's a file, I'm just going to go to one. You can actually, in this folder, with something that's put up there, I'm not sure how he has it up here. So, I better go back. He doesn't have anything in that one. I'm sorry. But you can make comments on the different things that are there too. So if I uploaded a cover and I said, hey, does anybody know how this got from Philadelphia to London, whatever it is, somebody can put on there, hey, yeah, they were on the Cunard line, whatever, the Asia, on this date to this date. Cool, right? We share information and we help each other out if we know it. Or you could teach me to fish too and say, hey, Steve, you should know. You got to look it up in this book right here. This is where it is, right? So either way, whatever works for everybody. But it's a really awesome site, and I definitely recommend people to share in that. It's up there and it's free, so that's something I want to throw out there. So I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep talking nonstop for the whole time, but does anybody have any questions or whatever, comments or about the presentation or about Bubble Up?
Steve, you've done a really remarkable job in organizing this, assembling it, putting all the time and effort into it. And I think speaking for the New Jersey piece of the story, you certainly have advanced the ball in so many ways. So,
neat. Well, New Jersey's the bar. That's the first thing I learned. What Bob Schultz told me, New Jersey is the bar. I just keep trying to get to the bar. You guys do a great job, but I would be happy to share stuff if Gene or whoever, if you want to put stuff up here. I have a fair amount of New Jersey stuff, I think. But
I will talk to Gene and make sure you get some more.
Yeah, sometimes it's easier than putting it on your society website. And one of the things that just, and not to point out something that happened, but with Bob, with his webmaster, there's times where you don't have a webmaster for a while, or somebody doesn't have the technical ability to do something. You can still share stuff here, right? This is easy. Anybody could do this. You don't have to know HTML or any WordPress or anything. You just drop and drag. You put it there and boom, you click on it. These are some of the things I think you have on your site, that are simple things. So, there's interesting stuff there. Anybody else have anything that I can talk about or answer questions? Anybody have anything to share? Any cool covers? Anything interesting to see? I'm always willing to do that too. I can tell Charlie's telling us, man, sometimes they're better than the main presentation.
Sometimes you never know what'll happen to show and tell. We've had some pretty amazing stuff around our show and tells, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I got a question. Steve, I got a question.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Since you are the Philadelphia person,
Oh my.
one of the enduring questions I have in the area of colonial postal history, just kind of intrigued me over the years, and I've never gotten a really good answer to it. In the fall of 1775, that's 2 months after the establishment of the first Congressional Post Office. That took place in Philadelphia at the Second Continental Congress in July. So the U.S. Post Office was really actually first established, or the Congressional Post Office was first established in that summer. And basically by the end of 1775, the British that were running the parliamentary post decided to stop all parliamentary mail in the 13 colonies at that point. So the fall of 1775 was a time of transition. And probably about 4 or 5 years ago, there was a cover in a single sale, stampless folded cover, that was sent from New York to Philadelphia in October of 1775. And it bore a red straight line New York hand stamp, which was really abandoned during the summer of 1775, because at that point you began to see the blue marking that was used by the Congressional Post. Anyway, this was a red straight line, which indicated it was posted with the British Post in New York, and it got to Philadelphia. And the question was whether by the middle of October 1775, the Philadelphia Post Office had transitioned from British to Congressional. And I had a couple of specialists in the area that tried to answer the question, because what you have is a situation where, who is carrying the mail between Philadelphia or New York and Philadelphia then? Was it being carried by the British Parliamentary Post, or was it being carried by the Congressional Post? And how was it being handled? And I spoke with John Barwis and a couple of others that really know a lot about Philadelphia postal history, and they told me that they could find nothing in the Philadelphia newspapers that indicated who was operating the Philadelphia Post Office by the middle of October of 1775. So if you could come up with that answer, you get a big stuffed teddy bear.
You're putting me in tough company there with John, and Vern probably has something on that. But I certainly, it's very interesting to me, to find out about that. But I will delve to find out as much as I can. And at the American Philosophical Society, they have Ben Franklin's like the first ledgers, like all of his ledgers. So there might be information there. We actually, as the Pennsylvania Society last year, we were going to help to sponsor an internship at the Philosophical Society, along with our APS. Not just the philosophical APS, but it was canceled because of COVID. So they have all that, and there is actually a website that they have developed there. But they need postal historians to help with that, because they just, their stuff is like from Philadelphia to, Paris. They don't say how it got there, right? How did it get from Philadelphia? Did it go to New York? Did it go through New Jersey? All the things we worry about. They just knew the beginning and the end. So there's some contacts there, and I can try and ask, see exactly what they have and see what they've put up recently. I hope they have people still working on it, but it's amazing. I'll put the link in for that too. Let me write that down for their Franklin's ledgers. It's online, and it's free. So I love the free stuff, right?
Like I chatted out, I am maybe biased about being a member of the Florida Postal History Society and the Florida Resident, not knowing where everyone else is living from. But and I did notice you did have a folder for Vern.
Well, Vern lives. I live in West Palm, so Vern. Vern just lives up the road, and I
right.
I probably talk with
when
him.
He's here.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's away right now, but I usually talk with him several times a week. I have so many questions, and he's got a lot more answers than I do.
Font of knowledge. Yes, he's a font of knowledge. For sure.
Florida's an awesome place too. Dean Briggs is like amazing. Tom Lira.
Right out there. We've got members that write books.
Yeah, very.
Members that write learned books. Good books.
Well, I'd be interested in chatting with you about Florida postal history too. I went to high school in Philadelphia. I didn't learn anything about Florida history, so I'm kind of starting a little.
But you got to see the Liberty Bell all the time.
It's just like I live here. I don't go to the beach. I didn't go to the Liberty Bell when I lived in Philadelphia much either.
I understand it's in the building now. I saw it when it used to be on the outside.
Yeah, one thing that's really neat, I actually found a cover from a place that was located right in the plaza where the Liberty Bell is now. Because I just looked at the address. It was a cover that I was just writing up, and they were located literally across from Independence Hall. And I found a picture that would have looked like it was out of that building across to Independence Hall. And I put that on my write-up, and I was like, how cool. I had no idea where it was. And it was
fantastic.
Sometimes you just find really cool stuff you don't expect down these rabbit holes.
The joy of philately.
Yeah, absolutely.
The joy.
Yeah, you have to be prepared to go down a lot of different paths. That's for sure. And it's funny too. We're very, very lucky. I don't know if you've seen, but we have a new member in Florida. His name is Daniel Zou. I'm not sure how to say his last name. 15-year-old kid. He's just he's thirsting for this type of knowledge. So that's the kind of thing I'm trying to get him. Instead of getting started down stamps, we were sitting and looking at covers in Sarasota. And I just started asking him questions about things, and he was very inquisitive, and I was really happy about that, because instead of just looking at a cover for what it was, he started, well, what about this? What does this mean? What does that? You can come up with 20 questions about a $5 cover, But of course, as he was going through the covers, he started picking out Flood's locals. And I'm like, here's a 15-year kid. I'm like, I have no idea how much money he has, but you're like picking out some of the $300 covers out of here. I was like, this kid has good taste too. And he's a smart kid.
What part of Florida? You know what part of Florida he's in?
He's in Gainesville. So it's going to be really fun. I'm trying to mentor him a little bit. I'm sure he'd love to talk to other people too. But
a little far to travel for Central Florida Stamp Club.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he'll be able to come to some shows. His father collects Chinese stamps too, so he's interested. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun journey. This kid's in 10th grade. He's taking AP Calculus. He's taking 2 college writing courses in 10th grade. I'm like, this is a no-brainer. I got to help this kid, right? So someday we'll hear his name.
Thank you.
Sure. Anybody have anything else? Well, I really appreciate you being here tonight. I know it's a little bit short. We are looking forward to Charlie next month. I will send that out. That's going to be. You want to take just 1 minute to just like a pre thing on that, Charlie?
Oh, geez. Yeah. What did you get me? Oh, the journey of the 5-month journey of the Baptist missionary cover that left Ohio and went overseas through the United Kingdom on the P&L steamer through the Mediterranean, I think through the overland, all the way to India, Calcutta, and then back again. And it's a great little stampless cover. Well, stampless, it has some stamps on it, some on, some not. And it took a really good journey. You mentioned retro reveal tonight, just from this cover, which has about 20 different cancels on it and manuscript markings, and it went there and it went back. And it's really sort of a diagnosis of really when you find a cover that has, let's say, more than one marking and more than one rate, how do you kind of diagnose it and decode it to actually understand the journey that it took? And it leverages a lot of different resources that, Steve kind of covered tonight, and kind of getting there and getting back. And it kind of puts it together by some of the routes and some of the rates, and different resources to understand the ships, and overland and the rail that it took. And then from the addressee, where it went to and where it came back from, was able to then get the entire human story behind who wrote the letter, why they were writing it, who they wrote it to, and then a little bit of tragedy that was included in there, and then a bright spot of how then the letter came all the way back from where it started. So just a nice little story that I'll share, that I think I did a summer seminar on it once. I think that was a couple summers ago, at the APS, and even here at the local Philatelic site in Lancaster County. So
Wow.
yeah, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak about it. I
That's
think it's a
awesome.
great little postal history story, Steve. So
Well,
thank
I'm just looking at it so I can produce it for Netflix. I think it's going to be a good new series.
you. Oh,
There's a lot involved in that one. That's cool. I'm just
listen,
finding out.
I had fun. You
No,
talk
that's
about us
cool.
going down rabbit holes. You
Yeah.
never know when you find a little cover what hole you're going to go down. And this
Right.
took me down an interesting stories. Yeah. So thank you, Steve.
Well, that's what and one real quick question for you too, because I know yours was kind of complete on, went through postal services all the way there, I think, right? So I'm finding some that have gotten to Paris or to London and then had forwarding agents. And I
Sure.
don't know very much about these forwarding agents. And like I have one from London to Egypt, but everything stops at London. And then it was J.S. Morgan and Company, which was J.P. Morgan's father. So I assume they took like bags of it. Did they do something to these different countries that they had business in for the people that could afford it, I guess, and charge them some fee? You guys have you?
Are you asking about forwarding agents and how they
Yeah,
operated?
yeah,
And
just
they
in
were
general.
known agents. Yeah, they were known agents that would collect the mail and would be a drop-off point. Then that would get on a vessel and would be
Yeah.
transported from A to B. Absolutely. There's a whole subcategory of agents that we could talk
Yeah.
about.
Oh, I need to find out more about. So it's kind of like, did they trust those guys more than they trusted some of the postal systems? Is
No.
that one of the reasons, maybe?
They just were another mode of getting a letter from A to B.
Oh, okay.
Right. If we're going to go talk stampless, you're going to talk about folks rarely ever send a single letter.
Yeah.
Right. They tried multiple. They would write a letter or correspondence, a merchant multiple times, multiple copies, and send it multiple ways, hoping one of those would get there. Right. Which is why you
Yeah.
often see 1,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4 on various
Yep.
correspondence.
Yeah, I have some duplicates that I came across, especially business stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, where they sent one, and then they sent it the next month, whatever the next sailing was, whatever, in case this one sunk or whatever.
You got a good group here of postal historians that could fill in, different rates and routes and ships and rails and stagecoaches and overland. I mean, that's the fascination I think we have is the story behind the story of how it got from A to B to C to D, and the time that it took, and then that it actually made it there, and you get a docketing and confirmed it. So it's pretty,
Yeah. It was pretty neat because I found out about the APS translation service. If you aren't familiar with that, please go to the APS site. I haven't used them yet, but I have like a 4-page letter. I have in French, and now I'm getting Spanish. I'm getting all these different languages, and you try and type it into Google Translate or Bing Translate, it loses something there for sure. So if you can even read it enough to type it in there. So it's kind of tough. And then the money situation. Oh man, it's fun. But I'm looking forward to it the rest of my life.
I have used it one time, and a fellow translated the Chinese document for me.
Yes.
And I thought I knew the date, but it's in Chinese nomenclature for the years. It's different dates. It's not
Wow.
1947. It's a different date. And that was interesting. But it translated, and it turned out to be about somebody here in Winter Garden, Florida, where I live.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, that's amazing.
I was getting here a little bit late because you're talking about postal markings. I was just watching a previous Zoom from 6 to 7, and it ran a little over, from Robert Scott telling the history of the British Guiana.
Oh, right. I saw
And
that.
everybody writing their initials, and he went through all of the owners of that, and he had actually written it up twice in the catalogs and had seen it in person. And it was a very interesting Zoom meeting also from the British
Did they get you?
Empire Study Group. Yeah.
Did they get you to try and buy a piece of it?
Well, he didn't mention it. I think for $180, they're going to have 80,000 pieces. And I think it was $100 and some odd you could get a piece. Yes. Very good marketing ploy.
I'd rather get a couple covers and actually do something on my own, I think. But to each their own, right? That's neat.
Well, you can always frame that certificate, the ownership for certificate, I suppose.
Well, see, that's what I was telling this kid Daniel. You can spend all kind of money on stamps, and once you look at them, you're going to put them in your album. You're not going to look at them for years. But covers, you could buy a $10 cover, $15 cover, and spend 3 weeks trying to explore this thing. And it's just such a great learning experience. So I keep pointing them that way. Anyway, well, thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. And thanks for showing up. And I will send you an email. Everybody on the list here will get an email with the recording if there's something you want to look back on. And please, I'll have the bubble up. And please tell me if you want to be invited. You just click on those links. You don't have to write them down. Whatever. You can do that if you want. Copy them and put them in another document. But it'd be easy to click them and go to all those places. There's a couple hundred places probably to explore. So,
have a good night, everybody.
okay. Good night, everyone. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Steve.
All right.